Hi, this is Richa, and this is my ID, and this is my note card, one-sided, and everyone can go ahead and wave. All right. So you might be wondering who this is behind me and why she has an expression of rage and disgust. Well, in a few moments, you're going to share the same sentiments as her. This is Greta Thunberg. She's a social activist for climate change. Climate change is a direct impact of global warming. Now, what is global warming, you might ask? Well, let's do an analogy comparison. Think of a pot with vegetables with its lid on top and it's cooking on a high flame. The Earth's surface is going to be the vegetable, and the air around it is going to be, the steam is going to be the greenhouse gas. Now, this lid is going to entrap the heat into the pot, causing it to cook the vegetable. And over time, the heat is going to build up, causing it to steam cook the vegetable. Now, thankfully, we aren't like the vegetables and we aren't going to be steam cooked by global warming, but there's a similar effect. So as per this graph shown on here, the National Center for Environmental Information has said that the rate at which the temperature has increased on the Earth's surface has doubled since the 1980s. The rate at which the temperature is increasing is about 0.26 degrees Fahrenheit globally. This should reinstate what exactly global warming is. It is the warming of the Earth's surface due to human activity and the negative effects of the human activity, which are leading to the acceleration of the deterioration of the conditions on Earth, making it inhabitable for other organisms and maybe potentially for us humans in the future. I've learned very disturbing facts about how carbon dioxide emissions are affecting global warming, and I hope to share with some of those here today with you. So let's see how our day-to-day activities are affecting global warming. Well, our carbon footprint is something that is used to measure how much individually we're putting into carbon dioxide we're putting into the environment. So this can be used to measure from our day-to-day activities, such as us charging our cell phones or us filling up our gas in our cars. So these carbon emissions might seem insignificant individually, but when you put together 7 billion carbon footprints, they are quite significant towards contributing towards global warming. The largest contributor of carbon dioxide emissions is known as fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are used to extract from the Earth's surface to provide us with a source of energy for our electricity and our day-to-day life functions. Now, when we're extracting this, there's a byproduct release known as greenhouse gases, which are very harmful for the Earth's environment. So these greenhouse gases function like a greenhouse. So a greenhouse is used to entrap heat, that way plants can sustain colder temperatures. So similarly, greenhouse gases are trapping the heat from the sun and the Earth's surface and making the Earth's surface a lot more warmer. Now, as these gases are being trapped, the work of the devil can begin. So as there are more and more gases being trapped in the environment, this is leading to the countless negative effects of global warming, such as more powerful hurricanes, more frequent droughts, heavy rainfall, and more warmer heat waves. We as Floridians know just how powerful these hurricanes can get. So as our temperature is increasing on the planet, so are our seawater levels. The seawater levels have been rising, as per NASA, by 0.12 inches every single year. This is due to the higher temperatures melting the glacier caps and heavy rainfalls. As we've all learned from our 5th grade lesson for the water cycle, as we have more bodies of water and warmer temperatures, this causes for the evaporation of water. This leads to warm, wet gases in our environment. And this is the precursor to hurricanes. So as per a method called extreme event attribution, there's been a correlation that's been proved between global warming and severe weather. As per a research study done by the National Academy of Science, it's shown that Hurricane Harvey of 2017 had the destruction and power that was 3 times more of that of a hurricane that would have not been affected by global warming. So not only are we being affected by these negative effects of global warming, but so are other ecosystems and other global ecosystems of other organisms. So for example, as the seawater level is rising, it's infiltrating into these freshwater systems and it's making it inhabitable for freshwater organisms. Another instance is as these animals are escaping the higher temperatures, they're moving to higher elevations where there are already organisms inhabiting these ecosystems. These large influxes of other organisms makes it unable for them to coexist due to competition of resources, and this leads to the endangerment of species. So it is up to us in order to figure out how we can make the Earth more inhabitable, not only for us, but for other organisms as well. So we must take these steps by exploring ways where we can reduce our carbon footprint. This can be through moderation of using our cell phones, resorting to more renewable sources of energy, and even maybe saving up one day for an electrical vehicle. The Earth is taking a hit of all of our selfish actions as we put more greenhouse gases into the environment, which leads to the warming of our Earth's surface, which in turn leads to global warming and all of these negative effects and severe weather. Thankfully, President Joe Biden has signed us back into the Paris Treaty, which is a global effort around the nation that is used to encourage other nations to reduce carbon emissions. The NOAA says that in order to see a true reduction in the effects of global warming, we have to reduce our carbon emissions by 40% by 2030. So we too should feel the rage like Greta, and that way we can be more inclined towards educating ourselves about global warming and the preventative measures that we can take in order to make Earth more inhabitable for generations and generations to come. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Why is it important for us to know about global warming, even though it's not going to really affect us for a while?
Well, as I said earlier, our carbon footprints, we might think of all these small little activities that we're doing as like very personal to us and it's not really affecting other people. But if you need to get that smaller picture out of your mind and look at the bigger picture and see how everyone's carbon footprints put together are going to affect global warming. So every small little thing that you do, the other person is probably doing as well. When you put all these activities together, the amount of carbon emissions that are coming out are not only affecting you, but everyone around you and other ecosystems. So it's very important to be mindful about the effects of global warming and how we can prevent it in the future in order to make Earth a lasting place for a longer time.
Thank you.
What are some ways to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions?
So as I stated earlier, you want to think of ways that we can probably reduce carbon emissions by thinking of how we can probably moderate our day-to-day activities. Like for example, we go to school, we take our laptops with us, we take our devices with us, and maybe putting them on power save mode. That way we can use them for a longer period of time and not charge them for longer. Or if we're driving someplace that's close by, maybe instead of driving there, we can walk ourselves there or ride on a bike to save carbon emissions from there. You have to think of creative ways of just how you can reduce something that might be using fossil fuels or carbon emissions and how we can turn that into renewable resource. That way we're not truly affecting and contributing more towards global warming.